Welcome to an impromptu reporting of the drop step. This is going to be a cut up preview, or this is going to be an intro to a pregame of before Game 7 of the Dodgers Blue Jays World Series, which we just got finished. The Dodgers have won the World Series and gone back to back for the first time since the 2000 Yankees. It is the first time in the millennium that it has happened that a team has gone back to back in the World Series and won both times. Unbelievable performances. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Will Smith homer, Miguel Rojas, shades of Rajay Davis in 2016. I have so many thoughts. What an unbelievable game. Bichette, there is going to be, after the intro, this is just the intro, there's going to be about 15 to 20 minutes of me talking about basically everything leading up to before Game 7. After that clip, it'll be the rest of my rundown of Game 7. I had to run right home. I wasn't sure if I was filming tonight or I was waiting till tomorrow to edit, but I have to do it tonight. What an unbelievable baseball game. A game for the generation. Game 7. The Dodgers have won it all again, cementing a West Coast dynasty in baseball. Something that has never happened before. So many thoughts. I will see you in the second half of this video. Please enjoy the first half because there's some important stuff in there and some stuff that I say that makes a lot of sense if you're watching it with what you know now. This is an unbelievable game. I can finally this is just the intro. Please enjoy the next 15 to 20 minutes of pre-game talk and basically series talk in general. Some of it, actually a lot of it, is so adamant to what we talk about in this game. I talk about the Yoshinobu Yamamoto impact, and he comes out. I'm skeptical in this clip, or in the 15 minutes, that we will even see Yoshinobu Yamamoto suit up in this game. Yoshinobu Yamamoto comes out and closes the deal, and the Dodgers are back-to-back champions. I will see you guys in the second half of the video. Please enjoy the first half of this video, and call me a Nostradamus. I'll see you guys in the second half. Deuces. Okay, this is going to start at 10 seconds for myself. Let's get it going. Welcome to the second episode of The Drop Step. I am your host, once again, Dylan Soto, and I am coming to you on November 1st, right before 3 p.m., right before Game 7 of the World Series. We're going to do a quick recap of Game 6, which happened last night, and a little bit of a preview before Game 7, and then this video will be released after Game 7 with my full context, full reactions, but I just wanted to get my mindset going in before Game 7 because it's the best two words in sports. Game 7, and it's Dodgers Blue Jays. It's in Toronto. The Blue Jays have not won a World Series since 1993 when Joe Carter hit a walk-off home run. And I think this table just needs to be set and preserved, that it's not guaranteed that teams ever get back to the World Series. Like, I want to think about these teams that get to the World Series once and that maybe never go again. Like, we've seen a decent amount, but the Dodgers are the outlier and have created a dynasty among themselves. And I think it just needs to be documented of all these teams that look like they have so much promise in front of them, but never make it back to the World Series. And I think it's kind of evident that we haven't seen repeat World Series champions since the three-peat Yankees in the early 2000s. We haven't seen repeat champions, and the Dodgers have a chance to do it for the first time in 25 years. And I think that should be documented in that they've built a sustainable baseball team in an era where it seems unfit for other programs to do so. First off, I want to get straight into Game 6 because what a game. Again, the Dodgers pull it out 3-1 over the Blue Jays. I think it really starts with Yoshinobu Yamamoto again. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, brings his full postseason averages And just to contextualize what Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been this postseason, as he may not pitch in Game 7, and Dave Roberts has said that he will not pitch in Game 7, even though it's been done before, pitching in Game 6, throwing the amount of pitches he has, and then pitching in Game 7. Randy Johnson did it in the 03 World Series where he pitches in Game 6 and then comes back out in Game 7 and has, I believe, pitches for another 1.2 innings. So Yamamoto should be on the table. All hands should be on deck for both teams. It's Game 7. There's no reason why anyone should not be. Just to contextualize what Yoshinobu Yamamoto has been for the Dodgers in this postseason, we are now at 34.2 innings pitched, 6 earned runs, with a .78 whip. This is a 1.56 ERA. Just to contextualize, you think of postseason greatness out of a pitcher, the tip of the iceberg is going to be 2014 Madison Bumgarner. 2014 Madison Bumgarner may be something that we never see touched again. It is 52.2 innings pitched in 6 earned runs. That is like if Yoshinobu Yamamoto didn't give up another run and pitched another 20 scoreless innings. Madison Bumgarner probably never, this World Series performance is probably never touched again. He was unbelievable that entire postseason, and glad I got to witness it. But more recent evidence of a pitcher that has just gone to another stratosphere in the postseason, you have to go to the 2019 Washington Nationals team when Steven Strasburg went, if I have it right in front of me, went 36.1 innings pitched, 8 earned runs with a 1.98 ERA. So that's a couple, 2 innings pitched more and 2 more earned runs given up. And I just want to point out that Steven Strasburg, going into free agency right before this, 30 years old already, was lined up to get a massive deal before this postseason, and then wins it all with the team that drafts him number 1 overall. And they feel like they have to give this guy an absurd contract, and they do. The contract ends up being 7 years, $245 million, and Strasburg didn't even pitch through all of it. He ended up being released by the team and then ended up paying off the rest of that contract. I just want it on the record that Yoshinobu Yamamoto signed for 12 years at $325 million. That is $80 million more than Strasburg with 5 more years of team control. All that being said is the Yamamoto contract, when it first got signed, was seen as something absurd, that it's the most money ever given to a pitcher that has never pitched in the MLB before. And I was one of those people who I was like, wow, that's a ton of money for a guy. Like, what if he sucks? I put it out there. What if he sucks? He has not. He's been everything that they've lived up for and more. And he is still so young. He still has so much left in the tank. And it makes sense. I wanted the Yankees in on Yamamoto. They were till the very end. It was Dodgers or bust for him, it sounded like. It's gotten to the point where in the league that Yamamoto comes from, that their Cy Young Award, their Best Pitcher Award, they can leave it empty if they don't feel like someone has earned it. So technically, Yamamoto is still the reigning best pitcher in his league, in his former league, and is still in the MLB. They have not chosen someone to uphold his title, which he had won for the last 3 years in that league. All that being said, Yoshinobu Yamamoto is now on a bargain contract for the Los Angeles Dodgers for the next 10 seasons. And I just think it should be put out there now that it's possibly one of the greatest free agency signings of all time. It's technically free agency or international free agent signings of all time. With all that being said, getting back to Game 6, while Yamamoto dominated the first 6 innings of that game, you have to go to the very end where Roki Sasaki is looking to close out the Blue Jays in the 9th, and then in the top of the 9th, he hits Kirk he has Kirk down 0-2, just misgrips a slider, it tails on him, hits Kirk right in the wrist, and Kirk gets first base. And then immediately you just go, Dodgers up 3-1 at this point, no outs, which means a homer ties it. The Blue Jays counteract this. They go pinch hit for Barger to get a lefty in, and Barger absolutely smokes a ball over in center field, and it gets lodged at the base of the wall. The pinch runner who came in for Kirk, which was Miles Straw, Straw's rounding third, scores easily. Toronto is buzzing. Obviously, we know what happens. The umpires, they put their hands up, they put the runners on second and third, the ball was lodged, and it effectively takes a run and a runner on third base off for Toronto. It is the correct call. It is traditional ground rules for every MLB stadium, but that's just how it goes. Like, it's a tough break. If that ball bounces a little bit before the wall and doesn't get lodged, Straw scores, Barger gets a triple, and then it's 2-3 Blue Jays, no outs, runner on third base, and then you have the bottom of your order coming up, but guys that can still do something with a stick. That being said, they put the runners back on second and third. Tyler Glasnow comes into the game, who was effectively going to be the Dodgers Game 7 starter. That is no longer the case. He comes in with season on the line for the Dodgers, comes in, and with no outs and runners on second and third, immediately gets a pop-up to first base, and then looked like a single to left field. I believe it was Clement. Clement looks like he lines a single into left field. Kike sprinting hard in from left field, gets to this ball, and then you just cut to Barger, who had jumped too far off of second base and gets doubled up trying to score on a single. And as much as you can say, oh, what a dumb play, like, what are you doing so far off the bag? Which is correct. That is the correct take to have. It's the correct take to have, but me personally, if I see a ball that I think is going to drop in left field and I know I have to score on a single to tie the game up, to win to tie up a World Series game, to win it in front of my home crowd, I think I'd be just like Barger and be that far off the bag. But it ends up biting him. Kike makes a great play in left field, makes a good enough throw. Miguel Rojas makes a sick pick at second base to double him up. And then the reactions were so stunning. The Dodgers immediately obviously burst into celebration, but it is so delayed because they're like, did they really just do that? Did we really just double them up and go to a Game 7? It's one of them. It's a very insane play, and Barger's got to be kicking himself and just got to be grinding his teeth at night, and especially leading into today. If they lose today, that getting doubled up on that is going to be a part of Barger's career forever. But all that being said, Dodgers go over top, win Game 6, and getting ready for Game 7 today, it was, could Glasnow start again? What are they going to do? And they push the big red button and they say, yeah, Game 7, we're putting the best player on the planet on the mound immediately. And Shohei Ohtani is going to start Game 7 of the World Series. Obviously, you're going to be watching this after this has already happened. And I'm skeptical. Shohei has not been a great pitcher in the postseason. Obviously, he had the greatest game of all time where he hits the 3 homers. He has the 6 innings pitched, shutout, 10 strikeouts. That's been his only good pitching outing of the postseason. Game 4 after the 18-inning game, Shohei Ohtani starts in that game. The Dodgers end up losing 6-1. Trey Savage goes nuts and strikes out 12 to get past Trey Savage is in Game 5. He should be spotlighted. Trey Savage has been dominant this entire postseason, and I hate that the Yankees will have to go against this man for the next 5 seasons, at least, until he is free agency. But struck out 12 in Game 5 to give the Toronto Blue Jays a chance to win it in Toronto, which is so nuts, especially the way this Dodgers team was talked about before the season with their additions of Snell. A team that was said to have broken baseball, you have them on the ropes 3-2 at home, and then you just can't put up any runs in Game 6 with the Toronto crowd that was ready to pop at any second. And now you're down to a Game 7 against... And the Dodgers are putting their best possible outcome out there. The Dodgers, they lose 6-2 in Game 3. Ohtani gives up 4 runs. He pitches into the 7th inning. He gets pulled mid-7th inning after a 2-run score, or two of his runs score in that game. And but now you go into a Game 7, and that should be scary all around. It's all hands on deck for both teams. Both lineups are out, and the coolest, just to bring it back to that 2019 Nationals team, Max Scherzer is going to take the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. And it's cool for like baseball history that Max Scherzer is going to be the one that we look back and who started Game 7 of the World Series for the Toronto Blue Jays. Oh my gosh, it's journeyman starting pitcher, old man Max Scherzer at this point. It's a wild thing to predict. We're going to look back on this and it's going to say Shohei Ohtani versus Max Scherzer to start these games. Final prediction time. I pretty much I said it last night, and I said it to someone else after the Blue Jays won Game 5. I said Toronto has to close them out in 6. Otherwise, Dodgers in a Game 7, I'd be completely scared. It's the amount of arms, it's the amount of talent. It typically goes their way. I know this regular season for them was ups and downs, but there's so much talent in this. I expect Yamamoto to have cleats on. I expect Glasnow to have cleats on. I expect that entire bullpen to be ready to go in the 4th inning. I don't know how long Shohei is for this game, because unless he's dominating, obviously, but I need him locked in for his at-bats. like I know that sounds so insane, but I need Shohei to hit tonight, especially he's going to lead off against Scherzer to open the game. If he takes Scherzer deep in the first at-bat, this balloon that's building and building and building for Toronto could pop. And the place could never regain traction if Shohei hits a homer in his first at-bat. It would be incredible if he did. That being said, I do have the Dodgers winning tonight. I just don't believe that Toronto's bullpen is good enough to carry them the rest of the way through this. That's going to be my short little preview for Dodgers and Blue Jays World Series Game 7. I'll come back to film the second part of this. I don't know if I'll do it tonight. But we'll see. It's gonna be so interesting. I'm gonna make my final, like, obviously I'm saying Dodgers win this. Final out predictions. I think Shohei has to do something, man. It's too poetic for him not to. Whereas I'm gonna call out Aaron Judge here, that Aaron Judge obviously put some of it to rest this postseason. He was incredible in this postseason, and carried the Yankees all the way down to the end. But Shohei just seems to do it in the big moments in the way that other guys haven't. It's a lot of these guys on this Dodgers team that I trust that they're going to come through in a big moment. Whether it be Shohei, whether it's Mookie, who, if Mookie wins this, we're talking about one of the maybe the best player of the generation. Like outside of Ohtani. Like we're talking about one of the best position players of the generation. A guy who's won a ton of Gold Gloves, has won an MVP, who will now have he will have 4 rings. He will have 4 rings. That is not something that other active MLB players can say. He will have the most. And that will have 3 with the Dodgers, 1 with the Red Sox, and has solidified himself as a first ballot Hall of Famer, and then Freddie Freeman hits right behind him. It's got to be Dodgers. They just have guys that make it happen in big games. And I'm also going to bring up Kike, because Kike's been one of those guys in his past that he thrives in the moment. Overall, Dodgers look, I have Dodgers winning Game 7. It's restated one too many times. Yoshinobu Yamamoto should be the playoff MVP no matter who wins tonight. Prediction for World Series MVP, it's whoever has a big game tonight. I know I'm one of those people that's like, if you, especially for the World Series MVP trophy, it needs to be whoever does it in the biggest moment. I don't care what you did the first 6 games of the World Series. If you hit a go-ahead homer in the 8th inning of tonight, like say it's Miguel Rojas hits throwing a name out there. Miguel Rojas hits a go-ahead home run for the Dodgers in the 7th or the 8th inning, and no one scores after that. You got to give that guy World Series MVP because he just gave your guys the lead to win the World Series. So I think the MVP conversation is a little silly to predict, but I hope we see some good baseball. I hope it's a classic. The last time, this is the perfect atmosphere. It's Game 7 in Toronto. They have the Bautista home run. They have the Edwin Encarnacion home run. The Odor punch. This crowd is ready to pop, and I can't wait to watch this game. That's pretty much all I have for today, or for right now. We'll see if I come back to film the second part of this tonight, or it ends up being a tomorrow. It ends up being a tomorrow record. I don't even know if I leave this in or I could cut it out. But yeah, it should be pretty interesting. And I will see you guys after I know the outcome of this, which is very odd. Deuces. Welcome back to the second clip of this episode. This is going to be me after Game 7. It is now just before 11 p.m., 10:55. And then we're going to do a little bit of a Game 7 recap, talk about some just overall Dodgers, some overall Blue Jays a little bit. Just want to get right into the first inning because it's a lot of what we talked about in the previous clip. A lot of just predictions and ideas going into the game and some statistical, like historical statistical backings for why I felt the way I did about this series, because it genuinely did. It felt like all Dodgers. It felt like all Dodgers the whole way. I will let you know the one moment where I thought, oh shit, it could be done for them. Like Toronto might have pulled this out, and it only lasted for about a couple of innings. First thing I want to get into, I made it a big point to talk about Shohei's first at bat against Scherzer in the first inning. I basically said, hey, Shohei goes deep here in the first. I want to see how this crowd reacts. I want to see the fight back in Toronto. Hits a single. The crowd, big sigh though. Like they are fully amped for those first couple of pitches. Shohei immediate single in the right field. And the crowd does drop a little bit, but Scherzer comes back like a dog. Gets Will Smith, gets Freeman, gets Betts in a row. Momentum back in Toronto's order, and they are all standing while Shohei's on the mound. Shohei searching for it. There's a big thing. Shohei was taking a lot of time in between innings. When he was the last out of an inning, he was taking his damn time to get back on the mound and take those warm-up pitches. Schneider, rightfully upset. I'd be upset if I was in Schneider's position. They were giving Ohtani a ton of time to get his warm-up pitches in. I also understand what the umpires are coming from. They're not going to rush Ohtani. It's the product. Shohei searching for it clearly doesn't have the A+ stuff. Definitely not the best stuff. The stuff itself is fine. It's the location of where it's going. He dots 100 on Springer to get the first out, and you're just like, uh-oh. Like, best player on the planet might be doing best player on the planet type things. Dots 100 on Springer, and oh, no. Bang. Cut back there a little bit. Shohei dots 100 on Vlad to get out of the inning and then catches Springer running down trying to steal on the full count. So that's how Toronto's first ups end, with Vladdy striking out, looking at a 100-mile-an-hour fastball on the corner from Shohei, and then Springer getting thrown out, not even attempting to slide because he was caught dead. And then we come back up to the Toronto's next ups, and this is when they're starting to build a little bit of a rally. They got runners on first and second, and then Clement hits a single to right field. Teo comes up throwing, and they have to hold Bichette because Bichette's knee is super hurt. He cannot put it in gear and score on that. And Bichette is held up, and Shohei blows fastballs by Jimenez and then gets out of the inning unscathed, leaving it 0-0. And at that point, you're just like, obviously you have to start Bichette. It's game 7, but he can't run. And it really hurt them right there. Obviously, Bichette has a moment coming up that it's the next note I have is Ohtani starting to lose it on the mound a little bit. He's pretty wild. The velocity's there. The break on some of the pitches is there. He gets a good swing and a miss on Luke's. But basically they intentionally walk Vlad to get to Bichette, and that is the wrong decision because Dave Roberts let Bichette get a free swing at a Shohei Ohtani fastball, and Bichette puts it dead center for a 3-run homer. And Toronto is bumping at this point. This is the one part of the day where I was like, and then they immediately pull Ohtani. I was like, shit, if Toronto scores again off of another arm that isn't Ohtani, they may put the Dodgers in a big enough hole where they can't get out of it. It's already 3-0. The Dodgers offense has looked a little anemic in this game specifically, and it's not like they did a bunch in game 6 to really cement themselves over the top, but they won 3-1. They did their job. Ends Ohtani's day. They get out of it after that. And then my next note that I have is Scherzer. They leave Scherzer in basically for Teoscar Hernandez when they have Seranthony Dominguez warming in the pen. Seranthony Dominguez becomes important later on for Toronto, but this just shows how early they have Seranthony Dominguez warming up. It's the 4th inning, and Dominguez is getting hot in the bullpen, and I'm just like, okay, they're going to bring him in for Teoscar Hernandez. That seems like Teoscar Hernandez, who's been struggling, has been late on the fastball, has been swinging over the top of the slider. Throw Seranthony Dominguez, get out of this inning, and then you get out of the traffic. They leave Scherzer in. He gets Teo to sack for a sac fly. That brings in the Dodgers' first run, makes it 3-1. And then at this point, you kind of feel like the Dodgers are back in. But in that same inning, the Teoscar sac fly that I'm talking about is Varsho making an incredible play on a ball diving in where he full Superman extends in center field to save that. That saves multiple runs right there. And then Vlad to get out of the inning, going to his left, the diving play to, I believe, I forget who he gets, but I don't have it written down. But Vlad makes a great diving play. He makes another good play. That one, so the one I'm referencing is him diving to his left and catching one on the fly. In the first inning, he makes a great play and dives to his right and on a ground ball and is still able to get out of the inning. Vlad was great today. More from him later. The Varsho and Vlad diving plays, and then that brings in. This is when after Ohtani gets brought out, they have the lefty in who I'm already forgetting his name. I did not. But basically, Jimenez is in there, and Jimenez is looking to get hit by the pitch. He pulls his hand off the bat. He's literally looking. I gotta grab the bat. He literally has it. He's right here, left-handed swing, and as the pitch is coming, he's pulling his hand off the bat to try and, on fastballs up and in, he's pulling his hand off the bat to try and hit his hand, to try and steal a hit by pitch, and it doesn't happen, and he gets his bell rung twice, and then, why am I forgetting the guy's name? I want to call him Andrew Saalfrank, but that's the reliever for the Diamondbacks. He buzzes Jimenez up and in, and then benches clear in Game 7 of the World Series. I feel like this is going to get forgotten in the totality of the story, that benches cleared, bullpens cleared. They were angry. These teams at this point had seen enough of each other and wanted to beat the other team so bad that they were ready to go at it on the field. Go at it, if you will. Robleski. Robleski's the lefty. They leave Robleski in to face Springer right after the hit by pitch to Jimenez, and I'm just like, okay. And this is at this point they have Glass. They have Glass now warming, and I'm like, okay. So once Robleski hits Jimenez, I'm like, I don't get the point of letting him face Springer so we can also face Lukes. At this point, I would rather bring Glasnow in with only a runner on first to face Springer, Lukes, then Vlad. Because you're already going to give Glasnow Vlad anyways. So let him get in there, let him get used to this, and let Vlad be his third guy that he has to face. They let Robleski face Springer. Springer hits a single right back up the middle, almost buzzing Robleski back with the ball he's hit up the middle. And then he gets Lukes. He gets Lukes lefty, and then they bring in Glasnow to face Vlad with runners on, and he gets out of it. But at that point, you almost are just, wow, light went off. That's rough right there. At that point, you are playing with fire, bringing Glasnow in for his first batter against Vlad. And at that point, Vlad hits a hard fly ball to center field. But I'm watching this and I'm like, Vlad's got to be just looking for a fastball to tee off on, because there's no way that Glasnow is just going to throw him a bunch of breaking pitches at this point. And he gets a fastball up in the zone, or it's a two-seamer. He just, boom. It's a line drive to center field, caught, end of the inning. Where are we at to next? Scherzer comes back out like a dog, and then he gets one out. He leaves in 3 1/3, I believe. Let me pull it up on the second monitor. He leaves him about 3 1/3, and very possibly the last time we ever see Scherzer pitch on a major league mound ever again. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if Max Scherzer announces his retirement after that. And he went out like a dog. He went out like a bulldog, like Max Scherzer should. It is a historic career that him and Kershaw in this series are both going to end their careers in the World Series, and they'd probably be done forever. Scherzer could come back, not confirmed, but the way he left it out there on the mound and the way he walked off made me feel like it was over for Scherzer. And in the nicest way. They bring Louis Varland in, and Varland immediately gets Smith and Freeman and just squashes anything that the Dodgers top of the order was facing. This is right after that Shohei gets another single, or it's either a single or a walk there. And basically, Varland comes in, gets Smith and Freeman, and then it's another time of that Dodgers top of the order coming up scoreless. And you're just like, how many more opportunities is this group going to get to put up runs together? Vlad, and it's because Vlad, and then I'm all over the place with my notes. There's just so much that happened in this game. The next is in that same inning, I believe. That's when Varland gets Freeman to hit into the double play. Vlad turns a sick double play. Freeman just taps one right back to him. Vlad, instead of stepping on first, goes to second, gets it to Jimenez. Jimenez back to Vlad, double play. And at this point, they still have the lead. And they're still cooking. So it's 3-2 at this point. So the Dodgers must have got their second sac fly at this point. And then at this point, this is when the Dodgers. So that's in the 6th inning. The 6th inning is when the Dodgers. Wow, I'm all over the place. At this point, it was 3-4. So it's 3-1 Dodgers. Dodgers get their other sac fly, and then they give a run back up in the bottom of the 6th. And at this point, you're just like, this is tough. What are they going to do here? And then we're getting to the 8th, and both teams are playing a little. We're counting the outs for the Dodgers. We really are. They're down with the Toronto scoring another run. They're down 2-4. And we're counting their outs. At least me and Dante were on the couch. I'm like, this is 15 outs. There are 9 outs. And then it got to 5 outs. And then they bring in Trey Savage, who's been dealing this entire postseason. I feel like I haven't done enough talking about how good Trey Savage has been this entire postseason, dominating everyone who comes in their way. And then you just see Max Muncy sit back on a splitter and be the first person to really get you Savage. He sits on the splitter. He's in the back of the zone. Wham! Uppercut swing, deep right field. Cuts it to 3-4. And then at that point, you're like, shit, the Dodgers are going to come up in the bottom of the, are going to come up in the bottom or the top of the 9th. And it's going to be Kike, Miguel Rojas, and Shohei. And I'm looking at Dante. We're sitting on the couch. We're just like, fuck, is Shohei going to come up with a chance to tie it at the top of the ninth and be the last out? Especially how his day's gone. It wasn't a dominant day, but it wasn't a bad day either from Shohei. Obviously, the 3-run shot from Bichette hurts, obviously. Blake Snell comes in a jam, and Dante's on the couch. He's like, he's been awful. And I was like, yeah, I mean, he's been good throughout. He had the good start in the divisional series. But I'm looking at it, I was like, Blake Snell's given up 10 earned runs in this series. If Blake Snell doesn't give up 10 earned runs in the series, the Dodgers might have already closed this out. And they bring in Blake Snell. He comes in and gets the lefties at the bottom of the lineup. And then, boom, big strikeout on Vlad just to leave the Blue Jays scoreless in that inning. And then you get in the top of the ninth and shitting bricks a little bit. Kike, with one of the worst at-bats of the entire postseason I've seen out of him, swings at 2 awful sliders just down and away, just a bump, bump, and swings right over the top. Had no chance of those swings. And then Miguel Rojas immediately does the same thing, and you're just like, oh, really? Not again? Like, please do something different. Miguel Rojas works an incredible at bat, and then gets Hoffman 2-2, and just finds a slider down in the zone that he can uppercut and puts into deep left field. It's one of the best swings I've seen from Miguel Rojas in his entire career. What a story, what a game that Miguel Rojas has. And more Miguel Rojas in the bottom half. I also wanted to talk about how they went Snell over Sasaki in the bottom of the ninth to start it out at least. Oh my gosh. And then it goes all the way to the bases being loaded in the bottom of the ninth. And because of the Kirk hit by pitch, Kirk gets hit by the pitch again when Yamamoto already has a strike on him. Yamamoto comes in for Snell, which is everything that I talked about in the pregame clip. Feel like I'm rambling, but I feel like it's the only way to talk about this game. Yamamoto comes in for Snell, and it's everything written in a storybook. This guy pitching again. I literally mentioned that I misquoted the year for Randy Johnson, by the way. It was 2001. He comes in and pitches in game 6 and then pitches in game 7. I think I say 2003. It was Marlins Yankees in the World Series. Obviously wasn't Randy Johnson. Holy Miguel Rojas is what I have written in my notes for the homer. And then Yamamoto enters. Oh my God, is what I have in my notes. And the bases get loaded here, and then there's one out, and a sac fly does it. The Blue Jays just need to put the ball in the air, and they are World Series champions, and everyone goes home happy in Toronto. They hit a ground ball to the bad man up the middle. Miguel Rojas stops it, drops it, collects it, has enough time, doesn't panic, goes straight home, and throws a dot to Will Smith, and he's holding on, trying to keep his foot on the bag, doesn't come up, doesn't come down. He's on there enough, out at the plate, 2 outs. After all that, Yamamoto still has to get one more out. And in steps Ernie Clement, who just broke the record for the most amount of postseason home runs, most amount of postseason hits. And this guy's coming up again. He's been torching you. Ernie Clement was 3 for 4 at this point. I'm more scared of Ernie Clement than I am of Babe Ruth. Wow. Talking a lot. Ernie Clement comes up and absolutely smokes a high fastball off Yamamoto. And I think this ball's coming off the wall. And then you just see Kike and Andy Pages, who are playing both in, trying to cut off a ball through the middle if it gets hit hard enough to throw to one of the bases would be the thought process, but that seems extreme. It's a ball hit all the way to the warning track. Kike running with his back to the camera, full sprint. Andy Pages is also tracking this ball down. Andy Pages gets put in the game for Tommy Edman because they think Pages has a better arm and Edman's leg is hurt, so they don't think Edman can get to any of these balls. And Pages has a stronger arm in case there's a sac fly for the Miguel Rojas out. And they're both tracking this ball down in deep left field. And you're just like, oh my gosh, the Dodgers are going to run into each other, and this is how Toronto's going to win their World Series. Andy Paez comes up and Randy Mosses this ball out of the air, knocking over Kike Hernandez, putting a knee into his chest, but saving the game for the Dodgers. Andy Paez, who has not been able to hit this entire series. I'm looking at the hitting stats. It's .078 batting average, 113 on base percentage. Andy Paez has been a complete negative for the Dodgers this entire postseason, and he comes in with the biggest catch of his life to keep the game alive and move the game to extra innings. Not to mention, Yoshinobu Yamamoto's on the mound again. He's dealing again. Wow. Finally, we get back to the Dodgers ups in extras, and finally, Sir Anthony Dominguez enters the game, and I have it written in my notes. He had been warming up since the 4th inning of this game. I don't understand the thought process behind this. This guy's been hot for so long, and you're warming up, and then you're cooling down. It is not good for the arm. You are going to lose some stuff. Dominguez loads the bases, and I think it's over. You think it's going to be over, and then Andres Jimenez does exactly what Miguel Rojas does, gets a ground ball hit to himself, goes home, keeps the game tied, and then Yamamoto has Springer. Yeah, so then they fully get out of the inning. Toronto is popping again. They're going back up, and the way they have the lineup set up is Springer, then Miles Straw, then Vlad. Miles Straw comes in for Lukes for defense when they were up 3-4. And Yamamoto looks like he's starting to tail. He goes down 3-0 to Springer, and you're just like, you can't hang something to Springer. Fights all the way back, strikes out Springer, and then you get Springer, and then you get Straw. You don't have to face Vlad. Vlad doesn't come up in this inning. He leads off the next bottom. And then the Dodgers come back up again. And finally lead off Will Smith. Bang. Will Smith homer. He had been so close this entire game. So many balls hit to the warning track. Finally gets it going. The Dodgers take the lead for the first time in this game, go up 5-4. A lead that they would not relinquish. But it's not like the Blue Jays didn't leave without a fight. Vladdy comes up, and Yamamoto, who looked like he was tailing in the last inning, it came back on Springer, got Straw pretty easily. Vladdy leadoff double into the left corner, and Kike is hustling to get this ball back in. Vladdy comes around second, big chest bump, getting this Toronto crowd on their feet. They are popping. And then instead of it being Bo Bichette right behind him, because Bo Bichette cannot run, IKF pinch ran for him. IKF comes in and lays down a magnificent bunt. And that leaves up, after IKF, it's Addison Barger. Barger is going to end up walking. So now it's runners on third and first, 1 out. And full credit to the man I'm sitting next to on this couch. Because Dante Tocagino goes, I keep using his full name. Dante's sitting next to me. He goes, shit, Kirk's going to hit into a double play here. And he said it the last time Kirk was up. And he goes, the last time I said Kirk was going to hit into a double play, this is the time I think Kirk's going to hit into a double play. And it's a chopped ground ball. We look at each other immediately. Mookie steps on second, throws over to first. Dodgers are back-to-back World Series champions. What an unbelievable game. I had the opportunity to have a great watching experience for this. I hope everyone else did. Just looking back on some of my notes, this is going to be an awesome game to revisit this conversation. I think it's awesome how much of my pregame thoughts come back into this. And I literally say World Series MVP. Obviously, Yamamoto is the World Series MVP. He comes back out and dominates. It wasn't pretty, but gets the job done for the Dodgers and is the reason that they are World Series champs right now. What he pitched today? Another 2.2 scoreless. What more can you say? It's another 2.2 scoreless for Yamamoto. There's a reason he's the World Series MVP. But the man of the night is Miguel Rojas. And I had to throw out a name who I thought would be World Series MVP if something special happened tonight and someone hits a magical homer. I said the right name earlier. Miguel Rojas hits a magical homer to keep the Dodgers alive and keep the LA hopeful alive. What an unbelievable game. What an unbelievable homer by Miguel Rojas. What a play that he made stopping it. What a job by Will Smith staying on the bag. I've burned myself out. I've been waiting to get home to make this recording. I've gone straight through for another 24 minutes going through my notes. I can't wait to post this. This is going to be such an awesome episode. What a cool night for sports. First time a team is repeated in the Millennium. The Millennium, right? I believe that's how it works. Yeah, this is absolutely nuts. Congratulations to the Dodgers. Mookie Betts, shout out. 4th ring. I know I mentioned it in the previous clip, but it's a 4th ring for Mookie. Shout out Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Shout out the Nike ad that played right after they win. Kendrick in the back, and it's just a credits roll. And it's real cool. It's a real cool ad. I'm a sucker for these ads that Nike's been doing right after their team wins, or a star wins for their team. Because they did the same thing for Jalen Hurts. The Love Hurts promo after winning the Super Bowl was absolutely incredible. I think I'm running empty on gas. It is now 11:20. I'm going to try and get a quick edit in and have this posted in on the first day of November. Happy November to everyone. Hope you guys had a great Halloween. I did. Share this November with family and friends. Continue to show empathy to those around you. Love yourself. Enjoy sports. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Deuces.